and I guess he said he made like a famous quote, and he said about killing Kennedy that I think he said they made a mistake. They killed whatever, but it was about, you probably have heard this, about to kill this snake, you chop off the head or something like that. So
what does the mob
that was
win?
Carlos Mencia that said that. But
what does the mob win by killing Kennedy?
Well, first off, they felt like they got Kennedy into office because like the deciding votes came down to Chicago.
And Joe was like dirty,
Sam
super
Giancana.
dirty, yeah.
Yeah, and Joe, yeah, exactly. He was all tied in and supposedly went to Sam Giancana and said, hey.
Like an eyelash of vote, like so tight race, ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they think that they got him in.
Let's just say there's no doubt about it. The mob fucking they got him in.
Well, and they thought that they were going to get some love for it, and instead, Bobby comes up and says, "I'm going to get rid of the mob." And with that whole position, it was not the DEA, but the Attorney General. Yeah. Like
but what did they win? Then if it's to whack a guy for not acting right, then you still don't. Then it's not like the next guy in all of a sudden. Like Lyndon Johnson's like, all right, let me meet the mob. Let's get it up and running, you guys.
Dude, they did that. They had that much control. They had cops, mayors. There's corruption at every fucking level. And when you ask about what I believe in as far as stuff like that, every fucking level there's corruption. We still find out every once in a while, it'll break out in the news, about whether it's a judge sending people off to jail because he gets a kickback from the fucking prison, or whether it's cops that are dirty cops, And dude, there was some cops in New York that were killers that would get paid by Anthony Gaspipe.
You'd be great at that, man.
They would pull somebody over and shot him, and they actually got away with all that shit. And then later on, they moved to Vegas, and dude wrote a book, Mafia Cop, talking about how he grew up with all the mafia guys and stuff.
Is that the name of the book, Mafia Cop?
Pretty sure, yeah, Mafia Cop. And these guys, that's Joey Esposito, I think is his name. And the guy, when he's promoting his book, this lady recognized him on the TV show and said, "Hey, that's the guy that came and took my son," because they showed up and took his son, and then he was never seen again. So this prick was at a book
signing, and he was wanted?
Well, no, he wasn't. They didn't know he was a cop that had gotten away with working with the mob, killing, taking money, and then she recognized him and said, "That's the cop that showed up and took my son."
At his book signing?
On TV. He's on like the Today Show or whatever was popular back then. Maury Phillips, Donahue, some shit.
So stupid.
Yeah.
Like, you've murdered people and gotten away with it. Like, when do I get on camera in front of 8 million Americans? Exactly. Yeah. It's the Ace Rothstein show. No, Commissioner, a little bit, Yeah. A little bit. Are you a gamer? Do you play video games? Are you an Assassin's Creed guy?
No,
it's in Italy?
I'm a fan of the genre because I grew up on video games, so I think they're cool. But I haven't played anything since Atari 2600.
What's your thing when you go home to just chill out? What do you
I don't have a whole lot of time, and I do watch probably too much TV. But I have a million projects that I always do too.
I know a project you need to be doing, and that's a goddamn podcast on Fake Mustache Studios.
Well, maybe that is something. One of mine is RVD Radio.
Colt Cabana turned me down.
Did he? Well, did you? I don't know. Never mind. We'll talk about that. But
you know what though? He gave a great reason.
Oh.
He said, "You know him?"
No, I know of him, but I don't know him.
It's a great podcast. I enjoy it. And he said, I've been fired and I've been through everything, and these fans are the most rabid fans. And if they smell for a second that I've sold out, it's over." And I went, you know what? How could I ever fucking argue with that explanation? Do you know what I mean? He goes, "I got a little set up with like an athletic clothing line or something." He goes, "But I'm afraid if I start reading ads, those diehard people are going to go, whoa, that's not what we signed up for, Colt."
Yeah, whatever.
So then that leads me to Rob Van Dam.
Second choice.
No, Kevin Nash turned us down too.
Oh.
No.
Anyway.
Just keep naming guys. You were number 11.
I don't watch wrestling, and so it's hard for me currently to hold any conversation except for my personal experience with it.
It's weird that you don't watch wrestling.
It is weird, but I'm weird in a lot of ways, and I'm a nonconformist, and I'm proud of that because I think other people are people I don't want to be like. So that's why my moves are different, because I do everything different. I see the world different. I approach every day different. All my moves, when I first got into wrestling, I didn't say, "Oh, I like that guy's move. I'm going to steal his finisher and make it mine." I hated people that did that. So I was like, I wonder if I can jump up and do the splits and hit the top rope and do a backflip from there. And I was coming up with my own moves always, and that's what's always got me where I'm at. But what we do, I do radio shows where, like say me and Booker T, one of my favorite shows, we have this big debate on whether wrestlers should have insurance or not. Because most wrestlers feel fucked by the fact that there's no like group insurance or whatever. I'm a businessman. I take the other point of view. I say, look, if you're going to pay me more money and I get insurance on my own, I'd rather do that. And we went on and on about it because wrestlers have tried to get petitions signed and everything. And to me, it doesn't make any sense.
The NFL doesn't have insurance. Or they don't have health insurance.
Yeah, well, we don't either, but we get it on our own, and you lie and say you're not a wrestler. It's not like wrestling is like a football league. There's like one big company, one that's up and coming, that's also pretty big, and that's it. So basically,
I grow pistachio nuts. I blew out my ACL pulling fucking legumes out of the ground. I'm not a pro wrestler.
Roseanne.
I'm not Rob Van Dam.
No.
Yeah, I see my driver's license. I'm Robert Alexander Szatkowski.
That's not true. It's Alex. So you can't believe everything you get on the internet.
What? This is a bio. This is
Just
concrete
saying, my middle
proof.
name is not Alexander. It never has been.
Well, it is to me.
All right. Well, change that.
If it says here in your bio,
Just
you're
sharing the truth. Okay. What else to say?
so Chris Jericho's a guy at the time you really hated.
Well, at the time, I was frustrated for many, many reasons,
Right.
because it's so much different dealing with that.
I'm only
Yes.
saying that to lead me to
Yes.
the next thing.
Yes.
Who's a guy that you wrestled that was like a huge popular guy that as you were wrestling you realized this guy has no business even being in a ring? Like this is a complete manufactured fancy pants guy. Or you don't have to say, if it's going to get you backlash.
No, I'm actually trying to
You
think.
can say it rhymes with and then say their real name.
That's good. I'm actually trying to think of that. A lot of times, guys come in and they get pushed way before they're ready, and it's ridiculous. We're trying to make them look good.
Now the fan listening might go, well, if it's fake, how can you be ready? What's the difference between ready and not ready?
There's so much to it. It takes at least 10 years. We give after 10 years of working full time, we call you a veteran. Before that, you still don't even know like where you're at the point of the match, because every match is a story. It's
Well,
not just
CM
out
Punk,
there doing moves.
Miz, Sheamus, those guys didn't do it for 10 years.
They actually have.
Really?
Yeah.
So it's a
Miz,
whole other...
maybe not Miz, but I don't know. But I'm sure he did like independent shows, small shows, and then he went to that Tough Enough thing, and I think he didn't win, and they offered him a job anyway or something. But
one of my favorite things to watch is because you get the satellite package, you get the 900 channels, is I'll just catch like Greater Ohio Valley Wrestling or like Bethlehem region.
Yeah.
And when you see like those
I started
local...
with stuff like that. I started on the small shows.
Yeah.
That's a traditional way.
Tell us about it.
Now, like you said, some guys are put like right now they
Brutal Bob Evans.
Yeah, they started paying guys to go to school, during that Monday Night War thing, which was ridiculous to us that grew up traditionally, the old school where we paid tuition.
You missed those
to try
days.
to have someone. Well, then all of a sudden, guys are like they were finding guys in a bar that had a good look. Like, hey, you want to go to school? But I mean, that's how Kevin Nash started. Supposedly, he was found in a bar, put him in school, trained him, and then put him on.
Do you miss those days?
What days?
Like just the days of doing like the regional wrestling shows when you're coming up.
Not at all.
A lot of guys be like, those were days because it was innocent and pure. You're like, fuck that, pay me.
Yeah.
I'm going to Japan.
Yeah, I wanted to work my way up and be a superstar.
What? You don't have to give an exact figure, but it's a better story if you do. How much was
420?
How much was the contract you turned down with WWF to just be done with it? You had to be done with it. You were completely burnt out.
I was,
How many years did you do that schedule?
I went in 2001, and then most of 2005 I was out with a knee injury. I had to have my ACL replaced and my meniscus fixed, so I took a full 12 months off because I have a really, high impact physical style, doing flips and spin kicks and splits, and I want to make sure I was, So then in 2006. So I guess, and then in the summer of 2006 was when my contract was up, and then I left, and they were like,
so 5 years you did that grind.
Very long. Like I felt like I made it out of like the Vietnam War.
And you didn't ever have and this is your 2 weeks off. It was literally 52 weeks out of the year.
Yep.
Really?
I'll tell you a story.
I think the listeners are going to find that hard to believe. That's no joke.
I'll tell you a story.
Okay.
Christmas is coming up. And then we got 10 days off for Christmas, and I can't fucking wait because I haven't had any time off forever, and I'm dying, and I'm just dying and dying, and I can't wait. Oh my God, in 4 weeks, I'm going to have a 10-day break. I can't fucking wait. Vince McMahon has a meeting and tells us that on the Christmas time, we're going to be going overseas to visit the troops in Iraq. This is going to be a volunteer, but he expects everyone to go. Yes, Rob. No, thank you. Nobody else had the balls to say that. And afterwards, they all came up to me. But it ended up being a big deal because they expect you to not say no. Afterwards, Vince has a talk with me. Rob, I understand you don't want to go to Iraq. I have absolutely no interest in going over there. I love that the other guys will go and it makes the soldiers happy. I don't feel obligated to. And he goes, well, is it a political issue? I said, no, it's a fucking 24-hour ride in a fucking flying warehouse to be in a desert. I don't even want to fucking go to Ohio tomorrow to the fucking card. I want to go home. What the fuck do I want to go over there for? I have no interest in it. Rob, well, I appreciate that, Rob. I said, okay, thank you. But you're going to see this is going to be one of the best experiences of your life. Vince, I'm fucking burnt out. I'm so glad I got 10 days coming off. I'm looking forward to that. Rob, I see your frustration. Talk to some of the other guys that have been over there. Hear their stories. I was so pissed. I literally wanted to fight Vince McMahon.
Did you go?
It was like the next. No, fuck no. It was like I had to talk to Johnny Ace, who was the head of the talent or whatever, and he tried talking me into it. And I told him why. I have no interest. Fuck that.
It is
And then
amazing when people don't realize.
everyone came up to
that
me
when
like,
you
"Oh my
say, like-
God, I wish I could get away with that like you." I
Yeah.
said, "You can learn to say no, motherfucker."
Yeah, and it's amazing when you have no, and you just no. It's just no. The amount of people that try to get through that city wall that
Right.
you've erected, and you're like, no, you don't understand. This is a southern prison. This is the city limits. This is an iron like. There's not. I'll say it sometimes. People like I have to explain this to you. Nothing you say can possibly change my mind,
Right.
and they just keep going.
Right. Well, it got to a point where
Why
I was
don't you
really
go talk
offended.
to the other guys? Like, oh, you know what? I had a good time. You know what? Then I will go. I didn't realize you had a good time.
Yeah, exactly. Great. So it was like the next week I had to wait till he was not busy so I could talk to him about it or whatever. And I was literally thinking about fighting. I was thinking about, if it came to a point, fucking, pick a hand. You know what I mean? Because I was offended by this. I've weighed out all the other options. No matter what you can do to me, whatever consequences could come from this, I'm not going, and it offends me that you think man to man that you can force me to go to the other side of the fucking world like I'm powerless to that action. That offended me. I was like, I don't care if I get fired. I fucking hate this place anyway, It was like that. So I wasn't going. And then what happened was they were still saying I was going, and then the location got compromised and it went to a place that was less secure. So the volunteer level really became volunteer. They couldn't force everyone to go. And I said, see ya, have a good trip. But I wasn't going anywhere.
Were you still the only guy that didn't go?
Yeah. And everyone else was like, well, I wish I could get away with it like you. Because I got away with a lot, but that was just because I'm me. I'm late every day. I'd hang out in my car every fucking day. I mean, I've been doing that 20 years, and it's not because I feel like I have the leverage, but obviously they feel like I'm worth it being there,
Look, the match starts at 7. I'm late every day. Maybe you should start the match at 8:45. Because apparently I'm on RVD
they would
time.
fine me. Like, you got to be there at 1 o'clock. If
They
you're there,
fine you, really?
Yeah, if you're there at 1:15 or 1:20, you'd get fined sometimes. Or if you miss a meeting that you didn't know about that they did all of a sudden, yeah, but not really late. But I mean, like there's a few of us. Jeff Hardy's one of them too. He's not going to be the first guy there.
I love that Stu Hart at 80 years old. You had to tap out on a thumb hold.
Yeah.
I didn't know they had thumb hold. I know Don Morocco had the Asiatic spike, and I still don't know what that shit was, but he taped his thumb and it was illegal, and he hit you in the neck, jugular vein with his erect thumb.
Banned in over 150 countries.
Awesome. 23 belts you've had.
You're not going to punch an 80-year-old in the eye. What are you going to do? You're going to tap out. Yeah. I guess
23 belts.
That's what they say.
Is there one that you
The
like?
TV title. Also the WWE World Championship, not because that was a goal of mine necessarily. I never thought that would happen ever because I don't fit the mold and I'm so, like I said, a nonconformist. That promoters never know exactly what to do with me. They're confused by the way the fans react to me because they
Put them in front of the Mexicans. They love them.
Yeah. So, but because that put me down in the record books and established me on a higher level as a former WWE World Champion, that meant a lot because it meant a lot to the fans. But the ECW TV belt. That was like the most fun out of my career. I held it for almost 2 years. It's like 23 months. And
You love holding that strap, right?
dude, but the thing was,
how weird is it? The match after you lose your strap, you got to go out there no strap. You feel naked without it. I bet.
Yeah, it
I
kinda
would.
sucks. It sucked.
You just go to
An
reach
injury.
for it to
I
do
was
it.
injured.
Oh, yeah?
So many of my belts I never got beat for, including the TNA heavyweight belt. I never got beat for it. It's always, and a lot of the injuries are like the guy with the pen injures me. You know what I mean?
No.
I'm not. I'm ready to go, but storyline says I'm hurt.
Oh yeah.
The power is in the pen. That's why it's ridiculous to take so much credit. Yeah, I had 23 belts. What's that really mean, though? I mean, it means
somebody.
by
I would be that kind of cop.
Anthony Gaspipe.
You'd be great at that, man.
They would pull somebody over and shot him, and they actually got away with all that shit. And then later on, they moved to Vegas, and dude wrote a book, Mafia Cop, talking about how he grew up with all the mafia guys and stuff.
Is that the name of the book, Mafia Cop?
Pretty sure, yeah, Mafia Cop. And yeah, these guys. That's Joey Esposito, I think is his name. And the guy, when he's promoting his book, this lady recognized him on the TV show and said, "Hey, that's the guy that came and took my son," because they showed up and took his son, and then
So
he
this
was never
prick was
seen
at a
again.
book signing and he was wanted.
Well, no, he wasn't. They didn't know he was a cop that had gotten away with working with the mob, killing,
Right.
taking money, and then she recognized him and said, "That's the cop that showed up and took
At his
my
book
son."
signing.
On TV. He's
Oh,
on
okay.
like the Today Show or whatever was popular back then. Maury Phillips,
Fucking people
Donahue, some
are so
shit.
stupid.
Yeah,
Like you've murdered people and gotten
Yeah,
away with it. Like
yeah.
when do I get on camera in front of 8 million
Exactly,
Americans?
exactly, yeah.
It's the Ace Rothstein show.
yeah.
Da-da-da. No, Commissioner, a little bit, you know,
Yeah.
a little bit.
Supposedly went to Sam Giancana and said,
At like
"Hey,
an eyelash of vote. Like it's so tight race, ridiculous.
yeah,
Yeah.
So they think that they got him in.
Let's just say there's no doubt about it. The mob fucking they got him in.
Well, and they thought that they were going to get some love for it, and instead, Bobby comes up and says, "I'm going to get rid of the mob." And with with that whole position, it was not the DEA, but the
Attorney
General. Yeah, like.
But what did they win? Then if it's to whack a guy for not acting right, then you still don't. Then it's not like the next guy.
And I guess he said he made like a famous quote, and he said about killing Kennedy that I think he said they made a mistake. They killed whatever, but it was about, you probably have heard this, about to kill this snake, you chop off the head or
Yeah.
something like that. So to get
What does the
Bobby-
mob
That was
win?
Carlos Mencia that said that, but.
What does the mob win by killing Kennedy?
Well, first off, they felt like they got Kennedy into office because like the deciding votes
Right.
came down to
And
Chicago.
Joe was like dirty,
Sam
super
Giancana.
dirty, yeah.
Yeah, and Joe, yeah, exactly. He was all tied in.
And all of a sudden, like
No, but
Lyndon
they had
Johnson's
that
like,
much-
all right, let me meet the mob. Let's get it up and running, you guys.
Dude, they did that. They had that much control. They had cops, mayors, there's corruption at every fucking level. And when you ask about what I believe in as far as stuff like that, every fucking level there's corruption. We still find out every once in a while, it'll break out in the news, about whether it's a judge sending people off to jail because he gets a kickback from the
Yeah.
fucking prison, or whether it's cops that are dirty cops, and dude, there was some cops in New York that were killers that would get paid